I knew it was going to happen. I said it out loud. I was watching this episode, and they said, I knew it was coming. They said, we can't send a shuttle. We can't send blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, no, no. I think I said no 3 times out loud. No, no, no. Yes, 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 that's what we're doing. You know I love a good game of Starfleet battles. Here we go. Wait a minute. Why am I the only Federation ship here? What do you do inside an arena? You fight. What do you do if you own an arena? You watch 2 things fight in that arena. So what do you do with a terrarium? Did I spoil this episode? This is the latest remake from Strange New Worlds. That is a remake of an episode of a bygone era, a remake of an episode from TOS. We remade Balance of Terror. Now we're remaking... Insert what it is. You know what it is if you followed along with what I just said. This is Terrarium. The second and final episode in this season of Strange New Worlds Season 3. That's right, this episode is not a prelude to the final episode, although this is about Gorn. This is a Gorn-centric episode. It's also an Erica Ortegas-centric episode where I appreciate the effort. Okay? I appreciate some of the thought. I could watch it. I watched it all the way through. I could kind of pay attention. But it's so paint by numbers. In fact, I barely had to rewatch this to do this review. I probably just could have guessed my way through the entire plot. Show me the opening scene and I'll guess the rest of the plot. That's how I felt about Terrarium in a nutshell. But what do we think about Terrarium, you know, in the big picture mode, the 1,000-foot view, you know, as the crow flies? Well, this episode involves a meeting we have to get to between the Enterprise and the U.S.S. Constellation. That's right. Remember that ship from Doomsday? The Doomsday Machine, TOS. We also name drop Captain Decker. For more information on Captain Decker, see TOS, the Doomsday Machine. You won't be disappointed, I promise. You may be disappointed in this episode, as it is, though. We need to deliver a shipment of vaccines to some other planet that's dealing with the pandemic, and to do so, we need to rendezvous with the U.S.S. Constellation. And something telling me that it ain't just the sniffles. So, ticking clock element, that means we don't have time to be messing about. We don't have time to waste. We don't have time to go back for one person. Again, with Strange New Worlds. Again, risking everything for one person. Again, it's. I know this is an old trope in Star Trek. I know. But at the same time, things happening before does not make it okay now. But we are dying of prequelitis. We have terminal prequelitis here, which means anything we do can therefore be compared to what should have been, given that this is a prequel. And therefore, if they did it in TOS, it's fair game now. Yeah, that's our get out of jail free card. Where, on the one hand, prequelitis lets us do whatever we want and call it a different timeline. On the other hand, prequelitis lets us dangle things in front of you. We're dangling the keychain. Come over here, come over here. Look, we got Kirk. Look, we got Gorn. We got Gorn. Remember that? That's what's going on in this episode. Before we go to rendezvous with the Constellation, we have to go to this wormhole. Well, we don't know it's a wormhole yet, but there's a gravimetric anomaly. That means that space is highly distorted. The fabric of space itself is there's a torsion on it, like it's wrapped around itself. It's dangerous. You want to be away from it, unless you're Starfleet and you want to be close to it and you want to drop a subspace buoy. It's decided that Erica is going in alone in a stripped-down shuttle with hardly anything in it to drop a buoy in there for some science business / communications business. This episode is very much Erica Ortegas focused, and that's good. Like I said, I like the effort. I like where your heart was at. Your heart was in it. It's just that it was... You've applied yourself a little bit, but this ain't cutting it. You know, if I'm marking your test. Uhura has a lot to do. Erica has a lot to do. And I must say their performances and the script that they did work with was pretty good. Uhura felt very sad sending old Erica Ortegas on her onesies, on her lonesome, back into that wormhole. And she was sure looking sad when it looked like Erica was going to die, because she does go into that wormhole. And oh no, Erica is gone. And the plot on board the Enterprise grinds to a halt, and it amounts to We have to get back Erica before we need to go rendezvous with the Constellation. How do we do that? How would you do that? Remember how years ago, way back in the heady days of Discovery Season 2 and all that, where we had, I believe these showed up in Strange New Worlds as well, although I wish they didn't. We had probes that were like little robots, and now we don't. I don't know. They could have just shoved, I don't know, put a probe in the shuttle, and when it's time, throw the shuttle out the window, and hey, go into that wormhole and see what happens, and come back. You know, I don't know. Yeah, that's why you don't want to go introducing these like probes, these little robots, because now people are just asking, why don't they just let a robot do it? You can come up with some lore answer for that. I know you can. So feel free to complain about whatever lore answer you come up with why we can't use robots, even though they did in Discovery. And they even see the robot scream when it dies. Remember that, like, years ago, that one time they launched a probe, a DOT, I think they call it, from the Discovery, and something happened to it, and we saw it scream when it died. It's not an exocomp. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked here, but needless to say, Erica needs to take this shuttle alone into this gravimetric anomaly. A wormhole appears. She's sucked into the wormhole, and she ends up near a gas giant. There's a debris field around this gas giant, a ring, if you will, filled with 300 and some odd moons. A lot to get lost in. And if you look at the screen on the look at the screen on the shuttle. Once he's in the shuttle, you can see that the ring around this gas giant, and I only noticed this on repeat viewings, the ring around the gas giant is eccentric. That means it's not a perfect circle about the center. It means it's like this. It's like an oblong. So it means at one point of its orbit, it's close to the gas giant, and at another point, it's far away. You can see it looking on the screen on the shuttle. The shuttle already figured it out. She lands on this moon, crash lands on this moon, I should say. A fire starts it out perfectly in the place where the rations are. There's one fire perfectly where the rations are and destroys the rations. Great. She creates a water condensing device. The shuttle doesn't have one of those on its own, but she creates one. She fashions ones out of some other parts. Okay, fine, we have water to drink. There's breathable air outside. We're walking around outside on this little moon near the other end of this wormhole that has air. She proceeds to guess, at this point, that they're abnormally close to the gas giant compared to where they should be. So she draws a diagram on the ground showing the gas giant an elliptical orbit around it, like she just figured it out. The shuttle already figured out that the ring around the gas giant is elliptical. Therefore, the orbit of this moon is elliptical. But she figures it out again on her own, using her big brain, even though it was on the screen. I'm thinking it could be a miscommunication between the writers and the people designing the graphics for the shuttle. But one predates the other, and it makes it look like she figured it out twice. The shuttle figures it out, and then she figures it out for her own. She's smart, like Dump Truck. But with that out of the way, we realize that, oh no, we need to get shelter fast, and the shuttle has fallen into some kind of crevice. The shuttle, seismic activity causes the shuttle to go into some kind of stratum inside of the moon. Big bad. But what's big good is that we found a neighbor. There's someone else on this rock. We're sharing this rock with someone. Of course, this person, this animal, this being, this creature turns out to be a Gorn. Yeah, remember that character, that species that Ortega really was afraid of? She had trauma about the Gorn, you know, as you would in modern Star Trek. When you see something scary, you can't get it out of your brain. She has to go cohabitate in this terrarium with a Gorn. That's right. The Gorn gets the classic fake out on you and me as we watched it, because we thought that the Gorn was going to grab us, but really the Gorn was grabbing its prey. It's eating these little animals that live on this rock. And the fake out is that we think they're grabbing Erica, but they didn't. They grabbed the food, and then even threw some food to Erica, meaning that the sharing of food goes across all cultures and species. Once you share food, guess what? You're friends. and we become fast friends, and I became, fast fond of this Gorn character. I think the episode did succeed on making me care about this Gorn. I did guess somehow that this Gorn was female. I don't know how. I just said, I bet you this is a female. And I was right. Erica designs from her own tricorder, it would seem, a makeshift universal communication device that can actually figure out if the Gorn is agreeing or disagreeing. Meaning that the Gorn could in fact understand what Erica was saying. We like to study our prey. Disagree. We like to study our enemy. Key line here. The Gorn said that they like to understand English so they can understand their enemy, not their prey. Very, very big difference there. We just got a hint as to what's going on with the Gorn here. They view Starfleet, I don't know about the Federation as a whole, but at least Starfleet as an enemy, not a prey to be eaten. Let that marinate in the brain for later. But the important detail here is Erica was able to, without being a communications officer, she's a pilot. Well, only a pilot. She's a pilot, a great one. She is able to design a makeshift translator that can figure out if the Gorn is agreeing or disagreeing. So, it makes one wonder if Starfleet itself couldn't design that before. How has that not existed up to this point? Do they just not want to know what they're saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. Am I missing something? Did Starfleet try and fail to design a communication system between the Gorn and themselves? Did Erica figure it out on the fly without prior training in this, even saying in dialogue that she doesn't really know what she's doing here to design this way? It's not her area of expertise, but she does it? Really? We're at war, in a sense, with Gorn, and we never bothered to try to figure out how to work out what they're saying. You'd think that'd be a huge tactical advantage. But I guess this is the first time we've talked to the Gorn. I could be forgetting. I could have accidentally deleted all Strange New Worlds in my mind for the last 3 seasons or so because I just didn't care. I could have. That could have been what's going on. But you tell me if I'm wrong. But I just thought it was odd that this is our first communication verbally with a translator between the Gorn and Erica. Was the Gorn and humans, in a sense, was the fact that Erica just designed something haphazardly. The Federation never figured this out. I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked. The meat of the issue is the fact that we have meat to eat. We ate some of these ugly bugs, and we swallowed our pride and swallowed our meat, and we managed to survive one more day on this barren rock. And Erica sleeps in the warm, I assume it's warm, tent that this Gorn has set up with a makeshift personal shield device, right? And the Gorn always has something ready to go. We have a booster pack. We have food here. We have a communication device. The Gorn has it all, and Erica has it nothing. And it's very good that we're able to make fast friends with this Gorn, even so far as to teach the Gorn how to play chess. That's a bit of a jump. I've had a hard time teaching chess to humans, and I'm from the same planet as them, and we're just able to teach the Gorn chess, meaning that the Gorn is actually very, very, very smart if it can pick up just the rudiments of chess instantaneously and even beat Erica, and then Erica plays a Gorn game with the character, and it curiously involves a board and dice. Interesting coincidence. And it ends up that because Erica won, she had to swallow the final game piece, which is made of bone. And you'll notice that the little final piece she was using is shaped like a Gorn ship, which it bothered me a little. Like, it made me sad because the Gorn had created a little totem to remember their home, their ship. And I just didn't want to kill them. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no. We just made this so much more complicated. Oh no. The worst thing just happened. Your enemy wants to go home. Dang it. Dang it. Leanne doesn't want to hear that one. Don't tell Leanne. I don't think she likes Gorn too much. Anyway, Erica pretends to swallow it, but she keeps it for her collection of totems that she has in her bridge. Bridge. She doesn't have a bridge. She has a quarters. What the hell am I talking about? At the very beginning of this episode, we see an overview of Erica's room, and she has little totems. That is like a little plane and things like that, and little figurines. And she has one to add at the very end, that being the Gorn ship in bone form that she gets from their Gorn friend. Everything is going swimmingly until we realize that we're running out of time on the Enterprise. We need to go rendezvous with the Constellation, like yesterday, okay? Because they need their vaccine for whatever the heck. So we better get it done. And Uhura begs the captain, please, one more chance, please. There's a way we can save Erica. And it falls to Uhura to save Erica because Uhura is the character on the bridge that is working on it. Like, it's a little weird. It feels like it's very Uhura-centric, the saving of Erica. But I'll roll with it. And eventually Uhura has to fudge the numbers a little bit and make it look like there's a 61% chance of this working. Chance of what? What do you think's going to happen? What are we going to do to save Erica? What do you think's going to happen? We couldn't send a shuttle. A shuttle wasn't going to work. What are we going to do? I knew it was going to happen. I said it out loud. I was watching this episode, and they said, I knew it was coming. They said, we can't send a shuttle. We can't send blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, no, no. I think I said no 3 times out loud. No, no, no. Yes, 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 that's what we're doing. We're sending the entire Enterprise through the wormhole. It's just like Shuttle to Kenfori. Remember that time where we had to go down to this planet to save one person, and then we ended up having to take the entire Enterprise like into the atmosphere and almost kill everybody? Remember that? We're doing it again. We're doing it again. We need to save Erica, and to do so, we need to prop open the wormhole with the Enterprise itself. It's happening again. It's happening again. Could we write an episode where we don't have to risk the whole ship to save someone? It'd be cool if we could risk the ship to save millions of people, but that's not what we're doing. We're saving Erica and potentially destroying, number one, the ship, and not making the rendezvous with the Constellation so thousands of people can't get a vaccine that they need. We're actually risking thousands of people to save Erica. On a mission she voluntarily went on and knew the dangers of. I know what you're thinking. The Enterprise does this all the time. It's fine. It's fine. Well, here's a very interesting and brand new theoretical, hypothetical, experimental idea for the writers of Strange New Worlds and New Trek in general. Just write the episode so that you don't have to risk the Enterprise like that. I know what happened before. Just write it so that you don't. This episode would have been just as good without that. What was good about this episode were the scenes between Erica and the Gorn. What was bad was everything on the Enterprise, involving risking everything to save Erica. Why? Why? Just don't. How about we don't have to rendezvous with the Constellation? How about we just don't? Just don't write it in. And instead of propping the wormhole open with the Enterprise, how about we design a swarm of drones or something that can, or probes that can act like a net that forces open the wormhole, and they figure it out just in time. Right? I did it. I did it. I gave the episode an extra point. I just wrote it like that and gave it an extra point. I didn't even think about it until this started. I didn't think about it until this started. And I just wrote it a little bit better. I didn't even think about it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not... That wasn't that hard to come up with. We have probes, right? Can we create a 3D net around the probes inside their computer on board so that they fly away from each other in a certain pattern that can force it open, like it's simulating the shape of the Enterprise. You know, like, wouldn't Spock come up with that in like 5 seconds? If I came up with that now, Spock would have had that already. Like, or something. I don't know. Something. Just stop risking the whole ship. Your idea every time is to ram the whole ship into something. That's your idea every time. It can't work every time. It's happened now like twice now in Strange New Worlds and a few times in Discovery. I just don't. And Strange New Worlds. Not Strange New Worlds. And Picard. Now that I'm thinking about it. Our idea is to shove the whole ship in. I don't. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah, it really gets the noggin jogging. Let's just shove the whole ship in. Anyway, Erica's idea to get the attention of the Enterprise that she doesn't really know is there is to put a flare or a grenade of some kind on the end of a booster pack, wait for the storm to cross as they get closer to the gas giant, launch it into the storm, and ignite the atmosphere, because at a certain point the atmosphere becomes flammable. She finds this out when she almost dies running away from these rock creatures that they were eating. She barely gets away. I think she was there to get crystal stuff to heal the Gorn's leg. I had to rewind and figure out why she was even there. It's not really in the dialogue. It's just left for you to assume that's why she's there. It's not that important, but what is important is that she almost dies and it destroys the shield, adding another ticking clock element to the plot, in that the shield that they were using to protect the Gorn's camp is now destroyed because Erica let off a flare of some sort too close to it while she was running away from these creatures. They're not food, but we're prey now. And we're going to fall prey to this explosion if we don't get behind these heat shields. Remember how I said that the Gorn had a whole litany of things to protect itself? One of those things was the heat shield left over from its escape probe that they use, build up around the camp, let the booster pack go off, explode the flare or what have you, ignite the atmosphere, and get the attention of the Enterprise. They will help themselves, hopefully, ideally, by hiding behind these heat shields. Crazy idea, but you're going to die anyway. So, if you can take certain death or 99.9% death, right? I'll take the other one. Agree. That's all the Gorn can do is agree or disagree, which by the end of it was becoming pretty endearing, if I may say. I did like this Gorn. What I didn't like was the very end. The Enterprise does ram its way through the wormhole, does get the signal as it sees this moon blowing up, essentially, igniting its own atmosphere, setting off quite the candle, as it were. This episode doesn't name drop, but it quotes Alan Shepard. I believe that's who it was, sitting in the little chair of the Mercury capsule, saying, "Light this candle, let's light this candle." And I got that reference, and I was so excited that I jumped up and down, and I made sure the camera saw me, so it saw me saying, "Light this candle." And then the voice recognition said, "Light this candle confirmed," and then continued the episode. That's not what happened at all, but I did get the reference, and I did like saying it to myself, "Light this candle," because it harkens back to an older time of human space exploration. If only we could be exploring space and doing cool things like that and going to strange new worlds. This is a strange new moon. We're seeing a Gorn. We know who they are. A little bit of an adventure, at least. Regardless, the Enterprise does get the picture when Erica lit this candle, and they do send down a landing party. The landing party includes Leanne. And I paused this, and I went frame by frame. And I think Leanne shot first. She was on point. I think she has the right to do that. But when Erica and the Gorn came out of their shelter together, they opened fire on that poor Gorn, and it became a downer ending. Because I liked this Gorn, and now I feel down, and I feel a little bit sick, and it wasn't the kind of ending, it wasn't the kind of downer ending that you ponder. It was a downer ending that made you go, ew. It's the one that makes you feel icky, because they were explaining to this Gorn, Erica was, that my people are going to patch you up. You're going to be okay. You can't go back with the Gorn because apparently they cut off weak ships or weak people or what have you. They have no interest in rescuing her. this Gorn. And Erica wanted to save her, and her people were going to save her, but I guess Erica didn't know her people that well, because what they came down blasting, and they killed that poor Gorn. And I know what it looks like. You're trapped on this rock, and there's a Gorn chasing you. I know what that looks like, but Erica, could you have explained to the Gorn what this is going to look like, and you come out second? Maybe? Like, you come out, listen, Starfleet, they're going to help you, but I'm going to leave the shelter first. You hide here, and I'm going to explain that this Gorn is not a threat. Saved. We did it. But they didn't think of that. I don't know if I'd think of that either if I was starving and scared, which Erica certainly was. So I can't really falter that much, but it's just a terrible happenstance that we ended up killing this Gorn, and Erica is not really through with that. She says in a little speech to her at the very end when they beam back to the ship, Leanne is my friend and so is that Gorn, but Leanne killed that Gorn, and quote, I don't know what to do with that. Maybe we'll see next episode. And speaking of next episode, I wonder who's gonna die. Because this whole episode, just by virtue of the fact that it was Ortegas on this adventure, I really thought she could have died. I was kind of starting to think they were going to kill her. I don't know. They could kill Erica next episode. They could kill Leanne. I don't know. Anyone who doesn't belong in TOS is fair game, if you can say fair game with killing your own crew. And so in that sense, it was an effective episode. But there's one weird thing. How to ruin your Star Trek episode with one weird trick. We had Arena. Spoilers for TOS Arena. The whole setup between Kirk and that Gorn to see who would win, who would fight, who would have empathy for the other, to see who's worthy of being a species that dominates in said arena. That whole tournament was put on by the Metrons, and Metron is it's like an ethereal, super intelligent being that plays with reality, not unlike the Q. But this one appears at the end. It is a Metron, and it set up this battle, this scheme, this survival, this game, this terrarium, in the same way it's going to set one up in Arena. And because we can't know about the Metrons yet, because right now timeline matters again. Remember, we're in Schrodinger's timeline. Does the timeline matter, or does it not? Does it not matter? It matters when the episode wants it to matter, and it doesn't matter when we don't care. We can see the Gorn. We can know everything about the Gorn before we get to the episode Arena. That's okay. What we can't do is know about the Metrons. That's off limits. We can know about the Gorn before the episode Arena, but we can't know about Metrons. That's bad. Okay, we gotta protect the timeline. Okay? We don't know about the Metrons yet. We can't have that early. Okay, we can have the Gorn, but we can't have no Metrons. So what the Metron does is basically say, essentially what the Metron says in Arena, you two savage creatures, you being the human and they were the Gorn, you try to survive together. What would happen if you've been brought together in a survival scenario? Survival scenario now, battle later. And, you show some promise, but I'm being told that you're not allowed to know about the Metrons yet. So the Metron removed her memory of the Metron and left everything that happened before this with the Gorn. The experience is genuine. You're keeping your experience with the Gorn, but we're taking out the Metron bit. What was the point in having the Metrons in the episode if we're going to wipe it from Erica's memory? Why did we do it? I thought the Metrons were smart. Why would you do that? You just revealed yourself only to remove it. What'd you just do for fun? Oh, I just thought it'd be fun to see what Erica thought about this whole business we did with the Gorn. It'd be fun. I wish I had a Metron in my life who could come back and wipe things from my memory that don't make sense. Like, wipe out the spore drive and, like, wipe out. I'm sorry. This is a little crazy, but you know what I mean. Why were the Metrons there? If the Metron is there, wipes our memory in Erica of the Metron, why did the writers want the Metron? It's the same as if it's there or not there. And by introducing it, all you're doing is aping off the episode arena for no reason. You didn't need it there. The episode is not different with the presence of the Metron. See? You don't need it. Why is it there? It's only worse for having it. Unless the Metrons play a role somehow in the final episode of the season, and I hope they don't. But, maybe I'm hoping against hope here. That was the episode Terrarium. Your heart's in the right place, but you fumbled the ball a lot. When this episode was working, I was interested in what was happening between Erica and the Gorn. I felt for the Gorn. I was sad when it died. That's a surefire way of knowing that they achieved what they wanted to achieve, to make me enjoy the presence of this creature. Right? And then you kill it, and you make me feel bad. That means that, yes, A, you succeeded in making me connect with the Gorn, but B, you gave me a bad downer ending. So it kind of evens out, doesn't it? Musically, it plays some TOS jingles here and there, and the music is thumping and tense when it needs to be. And it oddly plays a TOS jingle when we find out that Erica has gone missing into the wormhole, which is a bit of a strange energy to it. But overall, the music is mixed high enough for me to notice it. That's a big plus. And visually, this episode is looking pretty cool. You see the Enterprise doing some cool stuff. The wormhole looks cool. This gas giant looks cool. The rock that they're on looks pretty cool. And the Gorn looks pretty cool. We're winning on every front in the visual department. Everything seems to succeed. There was a few moments where the Gorn creature, its body, looked a little bit fakey fake. Like how conveniently the Gorn was like hurt and laying down for most of the episode because it was hard to move it, maybe. It was hard to get the suit actor to contend with all these weird moving parts. I'm not going to pretend to know how this works. All I'm going to say is that usually when something is laying in one spot and they come up with a reason for it, it's because it's hard to move, usually. But it mostly succeeds for visuals, music, plot. There's nothing going on in the Enterprise. In fact, what's going on in the Enterprise, most of it would be better off if it wasn't there, or we were just not trying to meet the constellation. Or if we did figure out a way to open the wormhole without the Enterprise. I don't know. You can write it however you want. You don't have to shove the Enterprise in there just because you can. Just because we can do it with CGI. Thematically, it's just a hair different than Arena. We're putting the Gorn and a human together in a sealed off area to see what happens. In one instance, we fight. In this instance, we see if we can cooperate in order to survive a difficult scenario. And it's about compassion. It's about, can you empathize with something that you hate? In Erica's case, it makes it different from Kirk, is that she had already faced the Gorn and already knew that she was afraid of them. So it's about overcoming your own fears, your own trauma, and getting along with your previous enemy in order to survive. And sadly, that is not reflected on the ship. It's not reflected in any other plots that are going on this episode. Again, the macrocosm should reflect the microcosm thematically. It should be working on multiple levels. It should be working for multiple characters and multiple plot threads. And it does not here. It's only working for Erica. And in that regard, thematically, it's paint by numbers, and it's what you would expect, and it's just a bog standard kind of Star Trek episode, which I'll take in that regard. I will take that over 4.5 Vulcans. I'll take it. So I'm not looking a gift horse in the eye. And with all that out of the way, and everything you just heard, I'm going to have to go ahead and give this episode a 5.5 out of 10. It wasn't that bad. I was originally going to give it a 5, and then I watched it again. And I thought, where we're winning, we're not doing that bad. But where we're losing, we are doing a little bit bad. And I said I was going to give it a 5, but you know what? I enjoyed my time with that Gorn. We're going 5.5. Yeah, that's what we're going with. Don't get too excited, people. Anyway, I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you next time I see you. So long.